you see all these
allows
Koreans,
them to flourish.
Yeah, you see all these Koreans
here.
and stuff opening businesses. They didn't just wake up one day and I'm Korean, I'm blessed. No, because
yellow
they have
privilege.
they have
privilege. I have yellow privilege. No, they don't have yellow privilege.
Generations.
Welcome back to the show, guys. I'm your host, Valentine. Expecting you guys are having a wonderful day. If you have not seen my last video with this gentleman that I'm gonna introduce again, go see it. It's about, you know, racial stuff, color of your skin, who's black, who's not. But I took the advantage that we were here. I want to record another video with him regarding about just, this is just gonna be, nobody's a professional here. This is just, we are seeing with our eyes and trying to analyze as to know what's going on. We're gonna talk about this. I think this is a controversial topic. Are races smarter than others? Mm-hmm. And let me give you, this is Mr. Truth Teacher here. He's gonna be giving his thoughts on what he sees. I've never read any books regarding this topic. I know there's a real famous one called the Bell Curve, where it tries to, and correct me if I'm wrong because I never read it, tries to give an explanation of why there's, you know, more intelligence, quote unquote, in some races. This is why I personally see we having a conversation when we were coming over in the car. What I see is that there is an explosion of knowledge in Europe, historically talking. There's an explosion of knowledge in Europe, and obviously we all know who's there. The white people are there, but I also raise the question: is that nurture versus nature? Meaning, were they born with it, or did they develop these these technologies and this knowledge because of certain situations happening around them that allowed them to, you know, be conquistadors and conquerors and colonizers and go and control the whole world and this and that. I also see in the United States that the best people, the best well-off people are the Asians, the yellow race. They are the economically talking about. And we're talking about here, we're gonna keep it to the confines of economically and whatnot. What are your opinions? Do you think that we're all made equal, meaning when it comes down to intelligence, or is there something that has to do with the nature and environment that have forced or why some races and ethnicities stand out throughout history? What do you think? You think we're all made equal?
Well, first of all, as I expressed in the previous video, I really don't agree with this idea of putting people in these boxes, quote unquote racial boxes, for many reasons. And when you look historically at the way this term race has been used, it's changed.
Okay.
So at one point, race was meant to refer to your family. Then it became talking about people of your ethnic group, your nation. Within the past 500 years, with the experience of colonization and slavery, it gradually became what we think of today. But before that, you would read Europeans. I mean, going back to antiquity, did all, quote unquote, Europeans see themselves as belonging to the European race? Did the Romans consider themselves to be the same race as the Western Europeans? And no, they did not. And when you look at their writings, they were debating whether or not these people were even human. You know?
So the Romans were debating whether the other people, which
the
were
people
from their
from the
same
north,
race, were even humans.
They didn't even have that concept that these people, that there was this thing of race. They recognized the fact that there were external physical variations, but they made, even within that, they made distinctions between their phenotype and the phenotypes of Northern and Western Europeans.
Which it is different. You could tell a person that's Russian and Eastern European from somebody who's British.
So within the context of our lives today, we see all light-complected European people as being the same. We say they're all white.
Yeah.
They didn't see it that way.
Okay.
They didn't see themselves as being, they didn't call themselves white. They
Yeah.
said, we are somewhere in between the extreme of those people up there in Europe
Yeah.
and those people down there in Ethiopia.
Okay. So
We're
those
somewhere in the middle.
so those people, whether and let's just concentrate on the color of the skin. Those people, whether they're Europeans, they're whatever is it.
They were lighter complected. You know, like I said, they were lighter complected than
complected.
people living
Why-
in tropical areas.
Yes, 100%.
But
Why
darker
did
than
knowledge
people.
started there? We're
Well-
talking about Renaissance. We're talking about architecture. We're talking about a whole bunch of things, and it started there.
Well, that's the big misconception. It didn't start there.
Okay.
If you look and you trace the timeline, where did all that knowledge in Europe that kicked off the Renaissance, where did that come from? If we go back 3,000 years and we look at the same region of Western Europe, what was happening there?
Yeah.
Not a hell of a lot of anything. When we look at the first contact between those peoples, that comes during the Roman Empire.
Okay.
And what they had to say about these people was not very nice, because from a point of view of technology, lifestyle, they were so completely different from them. Like I said before, they were even wondering, the Greeks and the Romans, can we even consider these people human?
Yeah.
So the knowledge that we see in Western Europe came from the Romans.
Okay.
And then
So me, I would
Yeah.
consider those people white, the Romans still, Europeans still. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Why did it start it with them? Because, for example, what I'm trying to equate, and what I'm trying to, the way I'm trying to frame the question is, okay, while whatever was going on in Europe, all the technological advances and whatnot, in North America and in South America, the Indians were killing each other. They were still to a point. You can compare what was happening in Europe to what was going on in South and North America, and for that matter in Africa also. There was a whole bunch of when it comes to thinking again and the mind and it seemed like they were lagging behind.
well, the fact of the matter is two things I'm
And
going
even
to touch
today,
on.
in today's
Yeah.
economy, for example, there's certain places worldwide that they advance in certain things in other. If I say Japan, you automatically think, in Asia, you automatically think electronic stuff. They're good at that. They're great at that. Europe, I don't even know what they're good at in today's day. I guess, I don't know, like general, whatever.
Yeah.
But in other sections of the world, they seem to have an advantage to doing certain things. Were they born like this, or did they had to learn it, or did they learn it like this?
Well, here's the thing. When you mentioned people in the Americas were killing each other, the fact of the matter is people everywhere was killing each other.
Yeah, that was just
I mean, when you,
part of
for
the
example,
world back
when
in
you
those days.
look at the settlement, the colonization of the Caribbean, England was really late on the scene. France was late on the scene.
Yeah.
Why is it that it was Portugal and Spain that got here first, and like almost 14, 15, like almost 200 years later, then, England and France is playing, catch up? That's because they were trying to kill each other.
Okay.
There were a lot of wars.
No, that's 100%.
Back and forth.
The world was
So,
a savage
yeah.
place in general.
It still is. So
Sadly, man.
when we're looking at, the question, why did it start with Rome? Once again, it didn't start with them. There were predecessors to the Roman Empire. They were the beneficiaries of an accumulation of knowledge from many different areas. So, for example, the predecessors of the Romans were the Etruscans, who were located a little bit north of Rome in the area today called Tuscany. They, according to what I've seen, archaeological and genetic evidence, those people migrated from what is today Turkey.
Yeah.
They settled there. Those people were also in contact with the ancient Greeks, who were getting a lot of their knowledge from people, once again, in Western Asia, what we call Turkey today. For example, coins.
Yeah.
You know where we get coin money from?
I really don't.
We got that from Western Asia.
Oh yeah.
From I think it's called Lydia.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It starts with an L. I've forgotten a lot, man. Come on,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
old. I'm almost 53 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. But they got that knowledge from them.
So it was a cumulative.
It was a cumulative, and so you're looking at, for example, now, so the Greeks, our alphabet,
Okay.
they got that from the Phoenicians.
Okay. So what you're telling me is that if all these different things that were going on in Europe at the time happened in South America, we would have gotten the same result.
Well, there were areas in South America, in the Americas, Central America, South America, where they did develop civilizations that were quite advanced. When the Spaniards came to Mexico, they were really surprised at the level of sophistication they saw there, and now considered that, for the most part, these are people that were still living by a Stone Age technology.
So what happened that it didn't take off like in Europe, in Mexico? What do you think? Your
What
honest
happened
opinion?
was people
Education?
came in there and, conquered them.
Okay.
And they were colonized. And the thing to remember is that all of us in the Caribbean, in Latin America, South America, our colonizers did not look at us as being countries in our own rights. They looked at us as basically factories.
Okay.
To make, to extract resources, to make products for them.
Okay.
So they had no interest really in us developing
Okay.
as nations in our own rights.
Correct me if I'm wrong. What I'm getting a sense from you, what you're telling me is that basically it was a nurture.
Yeah.
It was an environmental
It
thing,
was an environmental.
whether it would be the
And circumstantial.
colonizers and stuff
Yeah.
like that. That the reason that there was so much that there hasn't been a lot of this boom like we had in Europe in other places of the world
Well-
is because of the environment, is because of our leaders, is because of our conquerors, is because of those people. But then I say now, for example, that in today's age,
Yeah.
those people, what are they doing? Like, but we were talking about, and I answered my own question. I'm thinking about it. That the reason, for example, places like Jamaica and Dominican Republic don't go up on the world stage is because of the leaders.
Yeah.
So
It's the
that's what
leadership.
stagnates us. Now it's not the colonial people. Now it's the leaders that
It's the
stagnate
leader
us.
because they still have that colonial mentality of, they're trying to live in the 21st century with an 18th and 19th century mentality, and that doesn't work. If you look at the countries today that have taken off,
Yeah.
it's because they had a different mentality of their own people.
So the
looking at
leaders-
Hong Kong, Singapore, even Rwanda in Africa today.
But even if we could blame it on the leaders, there has to be something endemic to the individual. Meaning the individual has to take charge and say, you know what,
Well, yeah.
I'm gonna get educated. And sadly, in
Yes.
today's day, and let me talk about my country, Dominican Republic. There's people that might not even know how to read.
Yeah.
And they're surrounded. We're in the 21st century. Why is that? It's an individual. They don't take it upon themselves to go out there and do it, and then other people do. So I think.
Well,
I haven't done research. This is just two people
Easier
talking.
said than done in a lot of instances.
Which I agree. But for example, in my country, there's books and there's things that people could say, you know what, I want to read, I want to do it. Let me do it. Let me not be lazy.
Well,
so I
that's true.
think there's something that it has to do with the individual, because we were talking about the Chinese here and the Asians. Those people, the parents of those kids don't play around. They tell them, you got to study, you got to do this.
But here's the
you
thing
made the
that you
joke
have
if they
to-
come
yeah.
up with a B, it's it's the end of the world.
It's the end of the world. But here's the thing that we have to recognize also: no community is a monolith. So even when we look at those ethnic groups where people are progressing, that's not everybody in that whole group. That's a certain demographic.
That is true.
So,
I agree-
for
I agree
example,
with
we
that
see
too.
Asians come here, but what we don't know is that,
There's a whole bunch of Asians living in projects right now.
yeah,
And I know that 100% too. There's also
And the people who come to this country, oftentimes these are people who have access in their countries of origin. They had access to businesses. They
Yeah.
had their own businesses.
Yeah.
They had those skills. They had access to education. So when they come here, they're not coming here empty-handed. They're coming here with prior knowledge.
With some knowledge that are
So you see all these
allows them to
Koreans,
flourish
you see all these Koreans
here.
and stuff opening businesses. They didn't just wake up one day and I'm Korean, I'm blessed. No, because
yellow
they have
privilege,
yeah,
yellow
they have
privilege. I have yellow
multiple-
privilege. No, they don't have yellow
multiple
privilege. They work
generations
hard.
of experience in their home countries
Yeah.
that they brought here, and they were able to capitalize on that knowledge. Multiple generations of people who own businesses, who
Yeah.
had their own stores, so they know how to play that game.
They know how to play. It
Yeah.
definitely has to do also the environment you're in and
Mm-hmm.
on the individual, whether you want to, further your knowledge and further your
Yeah.
economic opportunities and whatnot. I want to thank you so much again
Mm-hmm.
for being with me. This is a topic which I think we need to talk about more. I think we
We
need to
do.
see this more on the internet. And the internet can just be all fun and games, right? We need to have young people like you and me that are talking about these people. We're not dumb. We're not dumb, guys. We
No.
we have to show out there and be, and represent
And
correctly.
there's no
We
reason-
we just don't produce rappers and
Yeah.
and
And that's the thing, is like there's so much more to what we have done
yeah.
than just making music, but nobody looks at that. So if you go on my channel and you go on
Which
my
there will be a
playlist,
link on the description
go into my
to go
playlist,
check him out. Visit his channel.
I have tons of videos dealing with things that people of African descent, because I'm primarily a person of African descent,
Yeah.
so I focus on that because we get dumped on the most. So there's tons of things of people, what we have done
Even though I
besides
think the white
rap and
people
basketball.
now days of days, the white people have gone their fairly amount of dunking too now on them. Because of
Well-
white privilege and it's all whitey's fault and all that, which we can't get
Well,
that
I'll
route. We
put
know people know history. People
I'll
know
put it
history
to
and they
you,
know
yeah.
exactly how the horrible things that the white race has done. But I say this: no race is an angel. We
No.
have all done
Every
bad
house has a sewer.
thing.
And everything black ain't beautiful, everything white ain't wicked,
Yeah, exactly.
everything black ain't bad, and everything white ain't,
Ain't the devil, the white devil.
Yeah, so it's more complex, and that's
Than
what
that.
we have to do.
And talk about
Complexity
this.
of the reality of life. It's
Yes.
not cut and dry.
Yes, it is. Guys, thank you so much again for being one more time with me. Leave your comments. Follow me on Twitter, on Instagram. Follow this channel, guys. Something different, something new. Be one of the first to say, I was one of the first subscribers of Valentine, and look at him now, 1 million later. God bless, Godspeed me, Valentine. I'm out.